staff presentation. We have this afternoon.
Mr. Chair, we have the Department of Regulatory and Economic Resources here today. As some of you may know, these departments used to be separate and we combined them or to be a little more efficient in county government. From the building department, we have Mr. Michael Bldg&Zoning, and if you could just come up and let us know about the building department, you know, what will stay with the county and what the new city will be responsible for.
Good evening, Chairman and members of the committee. My name is Mike Bldg&Zoning. I'm with the building department. We'll keep the name easy. It has changed so many times recently, but I think everyone understands what the building department is. And I would like to say, I think Ms. Smith's question was a very good question. And my home is within this area, and I would be a part of this municipality should ultimately we be incorporated. So I did like the question. Unfortunately, what I have to provide is really not going to clear up any of those particular issues. But what I'd like to speak about tonight is one aspect of a municipality, and that's the building department. And as a building department, there's certain complexities to this. And should you incorporate, you'll have three options on how to go about dealing with a building department. These three options are basically statutory in nature. You can create your own building department, have your own staff, have your own department within the municipality. You can also elect to have an interlocal agreement with another municipality to take care of those services for you. And finally, you can contract with agencies that provide municipal services such as building department functions. Those would be the three options that you would really have. And the purpose of the building department really is to provide for the health, safety, and welfare of the community by ensuring safe buildings and structures and ensuring that the built environment is in compliance with the various codes and regulations that exist. The building department is always headed by a building official. And the building official by statute must be an employee of the municipality. The building official, he functions in all matters relative to the built environment. The building official will review applications for permits and issue permits, conduct inspections through a staff of plans examiners and inspectors. Most of you are already familiar with how that works. I'm sure many of you have had an occasion where you've had a building permit and you've seen a county inspector come by. The organization of the building department can be very complex as well. You're going to be required by county ordinance to have a particular staff element associated with a building department. You're going to have, of course, the building official. You'll have chief inspectors, land examiners, and inspectors, and all the various trades associated with construction. Building, plumbing, mechanical, electrical. There's also a requirement that you have a structural engineer on staff. This was a requirement that was put into place after Hurricane Andrew, and there was seen to be a need to have an engineer oversee structural plans that were being submitted. The building department is operated off of revenues that it generates itself through the issuance of permits and code enforcement actions that they may take. So the revenues are specific to a schedule of fees that the local government would put into place. These fees can only be sufficient to cover the costs of operating the building department. Those fees can't be diverted to other areas of the local government. This is covered in Florida statute, and it's real specific about what the revenues can be used for and what they cannot be used for. And the transition that would need to take place for this area to incorporate would take place over a period of time. The transition would be from unincorporated Dade County doing inspections and plan review and transitioning to what type of building department you are actually going to install here, whether it was one of your own, one that you contracted out, or one that you have an agreement with another municipality to perform. How this is done is up until the point of incorporation, unincorporated Dade County building department would continue to accept applications for permits, and they would issue permits, conduct inspections, and those applications that they have received prior to the incorporation, they would continue to oversee those permits and all of the subsidiary permits that might be attached to those throughout the life of that permit and see it through to conclusion. The issues of code enforcement, these types of cases would be turned over at the time of incorporation, and we would take these enforcement actions over. This is a transition that takes place as you get a building department. And there may be a lag time from the date of incorporation and the date that you actually put a building department together. But during that period of time, unincorporated would continue to act by issuing permits and conducting inspections during that period of time. Now, finally, I just tell you a little bit about what my function is at the building department, because it directs, it relates directly to municipality. My function at the building department is part of the regional government. So if you incorporate, you still don't get rid of me. I'll still be there, but my function is to provide guidance and assistance to building departments. I help them with issues that come up. I assist with mediation of issues that come about. And there is a board of rules and appeals, so that should you have a disagreement with the building official in your municipality, there is these checks and balances that are in place. If you disagree with the building official, there is the board of rules and appeals where you can ask for that board to hear the case, and that board would then decide who is correct, the building official or the contractor or the homeowner, as it may be. And I'm staffed to that point, so again, I would participate in that process as well. So I know that there's a lot here to go over, and I didn't want to take too much time, so that's a real brief overview. And obviously, should there be any questions, I'd be glad to answer questions.
I have some questions. Oh, go ahead.
What about it?
Who will provide? I would make copies, 1, 4, 5, 3. That's what's going on for place. Who will provide the housing for the building and zoning? For the county furnish that, or we can?
No. The municipality sets up their own. You might be familiar with Palmetto Bay. They built a real nice facility right on US 1 and Hibiscus there. So real nice setup. But that's and by the way, looking at the demographics, you would have a population were this to incorporate of I think around 125,000 people. It would be the third largest city in Dade County. And I think you would have a really nice tax base here, and you probably wouldn't have too much trouble building your own department.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Deborah Lamb, 16350 Southwest 102nd Avenue. I have several questions. You were talking about your department is a proprietary department, meaning that your department has to be funded by the money that you collect on permits and stuff like that. It's not funded by tax money or tourist taxes or anything else, correct?
Absolutely correct.
And you said there's no funds that are diverted. Does the building department have to pay like a 6 or 7% to the county for the county administration and stuff like that?
There's certain fees that are paid, yes, and when I say diverting to the general fund, that can't be done.
Right.
The fees can be used for other things that are set forth in the statute.
So what percentage of money is taken out of the building department to fund, let's say, downtowns? You know what I mean? Do you have a percentage? Do you know what that is?
I wouldn't have an idea.
Okay.
If you would be more specific, we might be able to get a response from you.
Well, I just want to make, what I was trying to find out is how much of the actual money collected does stay within the department. Okay, but that's okay. You said there's a certain number of employees that are required to be had. Is that done by population? Is it done?
No, it's actually not. It's set forth in the Code of Miami-Dade County, Chapter 8, Article 2.
Okay.
Within that, you would find the mandatory staffing for building departments.
So, in other words, a city like Pinecrest, which has only got like 20,000 residents, is still required to have those particular positions. And in Pinecrest's case, they decided to do their own building and zoning, I think.
Yeah.
And for that little city with 20,000 homes, they're spending over $400,000 a year for that one department. That's not counting the bricks and mortar. So what I'm trying to figure out is, do you have an idea, can you give us a figure of how much money this area generates right now through the permitting process, and how much, this is very important, how much money is generated right now through fines?
Okay. I can tell you some numbers.
That's right, that's what I need.
The number of permits, and I looked at this, now, the data that I have is specific to District 9, so it's inclusive of South B as well.
Okay.
But it's, in terms of permits, it's in the neighborhood of around 2,000 this past year that I have data for. So
Right.
that's kind of
And that's picked up since the, I know that
Yeah,
building and
it's starting
zoning
to
has picked
pick
up quite a
I
bit.
know. Yeah, and these figures don't contain August, September, and then we still have October. So I'm still missing some of the figures. Now, as far as enforcement cases, right now there's about 3,500 active enforcement cases within District 9.
Okay.
And these are for a variety of issues. The main violations seem to be trash, accumulation of trash, signs in the right-of-way, and things of that nature.
Right.
Now, these range from violations of $200 to $500, depending on what the issue is. And it's all based on the fee schedule that's
Right.
applicable.
And you always give them a notice. You don't just slap a fine on the door, right?
Well, they do not, they do.
Some cities do.
Yeah.
Some cities just slap the fine on the door. That's why I'm
Right now,
asking.
They're giving a notice to the owner as well.
A courtesy notice, like. Yeah. Okay, wait a minute. And the appeals process, the people that are in the appeals process, are you saying that those will stay down at the county level?
That is correct, because that is a function of the regional government.
And what happens if we decide that we don't need a regional government anymore? If all of Dade County incorporates into cities, we could actually have a regional government run by individual mayors on a rotating basis or something like
I
that.
don't think you're going to get away from the regional government. You've got the fire department, you've got water and sewer.
Well, Pinecrest right now is considering having their own fire department.
That's fine, you can have your fire department as well, and